Hello and welcome to the John Ark Show. Today's episode is called Never Date These Kinds of People. Before we begin, I want to encourage you to subscribe to our channel for free. You can also like, comment, and follow us. We're going to have a lot of great celebrity interviews coming up, so make sure to click on that notification bell so you can be notified every time we post a new episode. Now, let's get started. If your relationships aren't working, or you're afraid of marriage because of the sky-high divorce rate, and you'd like some advice, then this is the episode for you. Today, we're going to reveal what kind of people you should never date. Never means never. No matter how good looking they are, how rich they are, how clever, how funny, or how lonely you are, do not, under any circumstances, date these kinds of individuals. Let's begin with the great beauties. If you're a 5 and the person you want to date is a 10, then most of the time there will be such a dramatic imbalance in the relationship that their eyes will begin to wander while you remain hypnotized by their beauty. And you'll also start tolerating a lot of things that you would never tolerate for somebody who wasn't a 10. Now, when there's a huge visual disparity between you and the person you want to date, that may work on rare occasions. You may be drawn to each other for other reasons, but generally speaking, it doesn't work because of the enormous visual imbalance between the two of you. Supermodels generally are not attracted to someone who is 200 pounds overweight and who looks like they haven't showered in 6 months. Now, the next type you want to avoid at all costs is someone who takes drugs or who is an alcoholic. I know that sounds self-evident, but the problem with alcoholics and drug addicts is, first of all, they will all swear on the Bible that they're not alcoholics or drug addicts. The next problem is they all tend to be really gregarious and outgoing and fun-loving and fun to be around. But you know what happens? Eventually, that party ends. And when it does, you'll end up with someone who is destroying themselves and who will eventually destroy your life. Hit the eject button and leave now before you are drawn in by all the charm. The next type you want to avoid are people with anger problems. They're everywhere now. They're perpetually angry or militant about everything. They're always getting into arguments with family members, with spouses, with girlfriends and boyfriends, and with strangers. They go to the post office to get into an argument. They go to the restaurant drive-thru to get into an argument. Their one and only default emotion is, guess what? Anger. The only time they laugh or smile is when they're making fun of someone or insulting them. This is a toxic ball of hate that you want to move away from as quickly as possible. Because if you don't, then they'll make your life miserable or destroy any happiness that you've ever had. The next type you want to avoid is the perpetual arguer. They need to argue about everything. They're mentally incapable of compromising about anything. Everything in their lives is a perpetual fight to make sure that everybody thinks they're right and the other person is wrong. If they don't immediately get their way, then the arguing commences. Now, when their pathological need to argue is at its worst, that's when they'll fight or argue even after they've gotten their way. You've already conceded and given in and said yes to whatever their latest crazy demand is, but yet they still want to argue. Hit that eject button and run out the door. The next type that you want to avoid is the super charming cheater. They'll be very gregarious and outgoing, and they'll be super friendly and sociable, but they're a cheater. Cheaters never stop cheating. If you have a long history of dating cheaters, then you have to break that cycle now because things will never change in your life. In fact, they will only get worse. The next type of person you need to avoid at all costs are men and women who are physically abusive. If someone like that raises a hand to you and wants to strike you or get physical with you, then leave immediately and never look back. Now, men, this one's for you. You're dealing with a major problem that only gets worse. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that because you were hit by a woman, that you'll let it go and forget about it. If you were struck by someone of any gender, then immediately leave, or it's only going to get worse. And before you know it, police are going to start coming to your house on a regular basis. And the police will only tolerate that nonsense so many times before somebody goes to jail. Now, the next type of person you should avoid at all costs are people you cannot trust. If you're perpetually catching them telling little lies, white lies, serious lies, then just leave. Remember, the problem with perpetual liars is not just the lies you caught them telling, it's the lies you don't know about. Those are the really dangerous lies. Those are the ones that blow up and destroy your entire life if you're still sticking around. The next type of person you want to avoid at all costs are the ones that are at war with their entire family. If they hate or are constantly fighting with their families, then it's only a matter of time before they are at war with you. Now, the last and most problematic type of person you want to avoid at all costs are criminals. Not just street criminals, but white-collar criminals. If you see a singles ad online and the person writes that they like to date bad boys or bad girls or whatever the case is, run. Hit that eject button and run. Why? Because these people are crazier than the bad boys or bad girls that they're attracted to. Hardcore mental cases. Run. You would be shocked at how many people are attracted to lunatics like this. They all think that they'll be able to control or manipulate or, get ready for this, heal or fix them. Most people who are attracted to criminals have usually had very dysfunctional childhoods and very problematic parental roles in their lives. So they try to find adults to date who remind them of the chaos and abuse and dysfunction that they experienced as a child at the hands of their crazy parents. Never, ever date criminals. You will not make any progress or ever have any peace of mind with them. It's like trying to date a hurricane of hatred and craziness. People who are attracted to crazy criminals have a difficult time breaking this cycle, but if you don't change your life, it'll be a perpetual disaster. So I'm sure you're wondering, well, what sort of people should you date? Well, look for somebody normal and sane and nice and very hardworking. I know that sounds boring. Look for somebody who gets along with their family members. Once again, I know that sounds boring. Doesn't sound exciting, but guess what? That's what keeps you out of divorce court. If you meet them, this is another really important cue. If you meet somebody and tell them you're looking for somebody normal, and the first thing out of their mouth is, "What is normal?" then run out of the room. Because the first sign of crazy, the first sign of trouble, the first sign of massive dysfunctionality is somebody who doesn't recognize normal or doesn't know what normal means, or they have a problem with somebody who's normal because it's just too boring. Don't waste any more time. Just run out that door immediately. Don't bother getting to know them. It's not going to get any better. So with that, I want to thank you for watching. I want to tell you that we're going to have more great celebrity interviews and more great breaking news stories coming up in the future. So we encourage you to subscribe to our channel for free and click on that notification bell so you can get notified every time we post a new story. Thank you for watching, and we shall see you soon. Bye-bye.